Welcome to Todd Family Farm. I'm Adam, and today we have an educational video for you. We are going to talk about spraying and chemicals and chemistry. So I know it might not be everybody's forte, so you won't hurt your feelings if you don't want to watch it, but I want to tell everybody and have a video out there that can really explain what we as farmers do. So if you've never seen our channel, Abby does a lot on our main channel. She's a lot better spokesperson for what we do day to day, but I'm going to do a little educating today. And I'll try not to be too long-winded. I'll try to get to the point, but I'm going to explain spraying because there's a lot of ignorance involved and just lack of knowledge and understanding of what goes on to spraying. So we are going to make it very real and help you understand what we are doing as farmers, because it's not as bad as some people portray it to be, but I want you to see the actual reality of it. So I have 7 children. We're very conservative. We try to be stewards of the Lord. We try to take very good care of God's creation. So you know, and I understand the fear of chemicals. In my garden, we don't use any chemicals, and on the yard, we don't use any chemicals. I understand that fear. We try to be as organic as possible. We are as close to organic on our own personal use as possible. So we don't go chemical crazy. You need to understand that. But at the same time, you also have to understand that if there's 8 billion people in the world, they got to eat. And most of those people are not generating their own food. And we have to make a lot of food. And chemicals are a very important part of us generating a massive amount of food. So, like I say, we consider ourselves stewards of God's earth. So we have to, we want to take care of it. We are not out here, at least we aren't, and most farmers I know are not out here just going nuts with chemicals. You understand, we buy these chemicals and we do not want to see them leave from where we put them. That alone will keep most farmers honest. They're not going to buy more than they need to. These things are expensive. So we're going to show you some of this stuff and make it real. And we're homesteady, self-sufficient, and if we never made y'all food, we survive on our own. But we make a living making the world, feeding the world, and chemicals are a very important part of it. We are incredibly precise. I want you to understand, I have a license to apply chemicals, even on my own ground. I know what I'm doing. I actually would discourage homeowners and residential and golf courses from applying fertilizer and chemicals more than I would farmers. We are precise. So like when we're putting something on, we know exactly what we're putting on and where we're putting it. And we know what it's going to do, as opposed to a lot of homeowners, they go to the farm store or a home department store, go to the garden section, pick up a spray bottle of Roundup, and they see a weed, it's squirt, 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 squirt. When really all they needed to do was squirt and let it die. Roundup takes 2 weeks to get it good and dead. But they want that thing dying the next day. They want liquid fire. Well, it's not. And they just applied about 8 and 10 times more than they should have to one plant. That's not good. And that happens, and there's more misuse among homeowners than there is among farmers. Because you want your yard to look good. What if it costs you a lot? Now we are so precise, we're down to cents per acre that we're watching. And golf courses, they want their golf course to look green. So they apply a massive amount of nitrogen because that makes it look pretty. And they're cutting it so short it has to have extra nitrogen. Farmers, our nitrogen needs to stay. We put special attention, special care, special chemistry to keep our nitrogen where we put it. We don't want it going down in the soil. We don't want it leaving with the water. We don't want our soil to move. And like I say, we do it because man has dominion over the earth and has a responsibility to take care of it. But even a godless farmer out here, he'll do it because he's greedy. You don't want that to leave. And we don't care what it looks like. We want it to pay and be profitable. But now if we were going to make our yard look pretty, what do? You put extra nitrogen, make it look green. And then when it rains, the extra nitrogen goes off into the ponds. And that's not all that great. So farmers, we know really closely what we're doing. Another point I'll bring up is that when we're killing weeds, a plant and a human have very different physiologies, okay? So obviously, we expel carbon dioxide and they breathe it. And then they expel oxygen and we breathe it. I mean, they're almost opposite of what we are. So what kills them really don't affect us that much. The herbicides is not nearly as worrisome as insecticides. Now, the insect physiology and the stuff that kills an insect, way closer to what kills a human. So if you really want to be scared of something, you be scared of insecticides, because insecticides, they are vicious, they are potent. That's what you really have to be scared of. That's what you really have to be careful of. We're careful with everything, but insecticides that kill you. I have heard of just an empty bag blowing across a cattle feedlot, insecticide bag, and a steer, like a 1,200-pound steer, go over and lick that empty bag and be dead in 2 hours. Insecticides are scary, okay? People ought to be more careful of insecticides. People go around spraying insecticides around their home and have no clue what they're doing. So be careful of insecticides. Herbicides, so we have a pesticide is just any pest. Herbicides, larvicides, grubicides, insecticides, all the sides are just a generic pesticide. But then you have herbicides and insecticides. Be very careful of insecticides. Herbicides, you need to be careful of, and you need to read the label and do it right. And farmers do that. I just want everybody to understand that. So we are very precise. I'm going to show you some of the stuff that we do. So we have a field here to the south of us. And I don't know if you can see, this field here, it goes to a pond road. That's 2 acres. And we have flagged off over here, and you might have to get a little bit closer here to see. We have 4 flags there. I don't know if you can see them or not. Right there, and there's one down there. And that's 74 foot by 74 foot by 74 foot by 74 foot. Okay, that's 1/8 of an acre. And that's going to represent 1/8 of an acre, and that's actually will be out of a 2-acre field. So if I'm talking, I want you to understand what we're talking about, 1/8 of an acre. 74 by 74 by 74 by 74. And that entire field there would be 2 acres. Now, I want to come over here and show you some stuff and teach you something. Now, I'm going to show you how much we apply to that area of ground. And I'll give you real life volumes of what we're putting on that. So you saw that 74-foot square, which, so here it is. An acre is 43,000 square foot. Okay, and when it comes down to it, that's a 208 squared. So that would be, if you had an acre, it's going to be 208 over on this side, 208, 208, 208. That's 1 acre. Okay, now I'm sorry for the carpenter pencil, but 1/8 of an acre is going to be 5,445 square foot. That's 74 foot squared. 74 by 74 by 74. That's 1/8 of an acre, okay? 1/8. Now, here's actual what we put on our fields. For 1 acre, okay, we put on 10 ounces of what we're going to use this year's Impact Z, okay? And this is just our second pass of corn. Sometimes you put on more, sometimes you put on less. Just depends on what you're hitting. But this is just an example for our second pass of corn. So 10.6 ounces of Impact Z. Now we've got our Impact Z back there. When you're talking how we're not going to waste and squander and just throw a bunch of chemical out there, we uh, so that Impact Z is pushing, you have chemicals pushing like $5,000 for a 2.5 gallon jug. So, a 5 gallon bucket, you have stuff that if you filled a 5 gallon bucket full, you'd be pushing $10,000 for a 5 gallon bucket worth of chemical. We don't let that stuff out of our hands lightly, not at all. So we're careful. We are precise. So for an acre, 10 ounces, that's less than a pint. You understand? A 12-ounce pop can, we don't even fill that up for 1 acre. So you take 43,000, that's 208 foot by 208 foot by 208 foot by 208 foot. You're going out there and we're applying less than a can of soda over that entire area. And we are doing it evenly and very, very precisely. And I want everybody to understand that's how little of chemical we do. So 10.6 ounces of our main ingredient. Then we have a half a pint of MSO per acre. Now MSO, look at this. This is our MSO. It is modified vegetable oil plus surfactant. Literally the same stuff you cook with. And we do that because we have additives. And then the last one I'll tell you, we have AMS, ammonium sulfate. You know what that is? That's basically fertilizer. That's nitrogen. It's a very water-soluble nitrogen. So when we're spraying, we put in ammonium sulfate. Sounds complicated, sounds funky, but here's what it is. And I'm going to show you what we put on for 1/8 of an acre, and I'll tell you why. Now we put on 2 pounds of ammonium sulfate. So for that square down there we flagged off, that's 74 foot by 74 foot by 74 foot. This is how much. This is the biggest ingredient we'll put in. And on an acre, you put 2 pounds. So that means for that 2 acres, we would put 4 pounds. We would put this whole cup full on all that field. And you know what this is? This is just nitrogen. We put this into the water, and it conditions the water, and it adds a little bit of nitrogen so that when our spray hits that leaf, it absorbs that leaf better, or that chemical better, because we don't want our chemical rolling off the weed. So it hits, and you put that crop oil in, literally the same stuff. It's a little bit, it's been modified a little bit, but it's canola oil, like vegetable oil, soybean oil, like you cook with, and they process it a little bit to where it could be used, and you put that on there. That makes our chemical sticky. So we have AMS and crop oil. Those are additives. Is a surfactant. A surfactant makes the chemical stick to the plant. AMS makes the plant absorb that chemical. We are very, very strategic about getting our chemical in the right place, at the right time, in the right amount, in the right way, and making it go into that plant to just kill that plant. So this will kill nothing. If you put this on our yard like that, it'll make it green up. This is literally nitrogen. It'll green your yard up. If you spilled this in your yard, it would not kill it. It would make it very, very lush and green, because this is a water conditioner so that the plant will absorb our chemical. That canola oil, so this is what would go on. We would spread all this. It looks like sugar. That's actually AMS. And we would spread that perfectly even over that 5,445 square foot, or that 74 foot by 74 foot square. That's what we're doing. That's how even and precise we're doing it. Now I'll show you how much crop oil. This crop oil here, for 1/8 of an acre, if you divide it out, what we're going to do, so we put on a half of a pint. That's half of a pint of this MSO, which is vegetable oil. That's surfactant. Makes our chemicals stick to the plant so that stuff can absorb. Here's how much of that. I had to, you see this? That's how much. That's 1 ounce that we will be putting on that square. So you just remember now, we would be literally taking this and spreading that out evenly across that 1/8 of an acre. This is enough for 1/8 of an acre. That's not very much. And this is just so it sticks better. And it's literally crop oil. I mean, canola oil. It's That's what it is. So if you see us putting stuff into a sprayer, all of it is not deadly chemical. So here is how much water we're going to add this to. So we would have, right here, I'll make our chemistry right here. You see, we would add our crop oil, and then we would add our AMS, and I'll admit, I didn't actually get crop oil, because crop oil is modified. This is actually canola oil. So I stuck it in my mouth. It's not no big deal. But anyways, so then you mix that up, and that's most of what we're going to be putting into that chemical, right? And you'd mix that up, and we agitate it. And right now, this would kill nothing. Kill nothing. Most of what we put in is to get our water correct. And it would kill zero. It's got AMS in it, it's got crop oil in it, and now I'm going to show you the chemical that we put in it, right? So, the chemical we put on at literally, we're putting it on at 10.6 ounces. That's how precise we are. We don't just say 10 ounces, not 11 ounces, 10.6 ounces per acre. So we have that field there, that's about 2 ounces. I measured out exactly what we would put over this entire field, right? The entire field, all of that 2 acres, almost, we're talking 90,000 square foot. We're gonna spread this evenly, okay? And here's how much it'd take. So it's gonna take an ounce and a half. You can take an ounce and a half. Now, I did not measure this out precisely. I measured out that crop oil with that syringe. So that's going to be almost 2 ounces in there. That is what's going to spray all of that. You know, and this is just milk. but I got milk because that's actually what Impact Z looks like. So I'm not going to be willy-nilly with chemicals. I just put in about $10 worth of 2 ounces is about $10. Can you imagine that? So we're spraying that on massive amounts of acres. So that was like that's going to be like $15 worth of chemical right there that we made up. So and this is just milk. So that's milk from our cow. So that's that, and then we take and we evenly apply it over that amount of ground. And I just want you to see how the amount of chemical that we're actually putting out is so little. And we are licensed to do it. I have to take a test every 3 years just to prove I know what I'm doing. And I know when this chemical breaks down. I know how long it lasts. I know, so when it gets out there, the soil actually digests the chemical. The sun breaks down the chemical. I know how long it's going to last because I want that chemical gone by the time I put out another crop. So we are incredibly complicated on our spraying. We know exactly. We have different tips. So this is 4 gallons that I would put on that down 1/8 of an acre. So that means on the entire 2 acres, we would only be putting 40 acres. We'd be putting 8 buckets of water out over that. And what we would do, these are what you call 10-gallon tips. And we want our spray pattern to be perfect. We want it to come out, and we want our droplet size. We care about how big our droplet size are. We care about how much of a pattern it puts out, and we want to go out there with our pattern perfect, our droplet size perfect. So when we're putting on 10 gallons an acre, we do this. When we put on 20 gallons an acre, we have different tips. And this is not just go and slop on a bunch of chemical. And a lot of these chemicals that you have an idea that you need to be careful, but we know what's really the dangerous stuff to be around. And the dangerous stuff, we are extremely careful. I hate to break it to a lot of people, Roundup's not the dangerous stuff. But the insecticides, they are. I won't even let my children be around when I'm handling the dangerous stuff. And you bet I use masks. You bet I use gloves when we handle something that'll kill a 1,200-pound steer with just a good sniff on an empty bag. So that's the chemistry. We try to be good stewards. We use very little. I see the most overuse on chemicals is landowners or our homeowners, not landowners, homeowners who just want to make their yard look nice. And you're probably applying way more Roundup to that weed than it needs to be. You're probably applying way more fertilizer. But we take a long time to calculate this out and make it just perfect. Very scientific, very academic, and you need to be fairly intelligent to spray your fields.